Kenny Clark, and this is Lombardi's Bar.
This is one of my favorite podcasts to do.
I'm just, blessed and thankful to be a part of this podcast. It's a great podcast, it's a great interview.
Maybe I know that you guys obviously being the best Packers podcast that's out there.
I had Malort this weekend, so I'm not tasting anything.
Oh, good.
He did.
God.
He did. That was fantastic. Because it said, "Did you ever try Malort?" And I said, "No." And then I said, "Do you want to take a shot of Malort?" I said, "No," but I did.
Wait, who said
it's called peer pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried to get in a high honors English class once, and they called my parents and were like, "Hey, just tell him he can't do it."
It shows. It really shows. I hate you guys so much.
I'm going to throw these two guys into the screen so that if I die, they can carry on the legacy of crap that is this show. Hello, Green Bay Packer fans. Welcome into another Lombardi's Bar here on the Game On Wisconsin YouTube channel. I'm your bartender, Dan Connick. Thank you so much for joining us today. Corey K. already in the chat. Emma as well. Emma coming in, third now. Todd beat you, Emma. You came in third to the guy that's actually on the damn show. Pick up your game, guys. Pick up your game. This feels like the chat feels like watching a Packer game. What the hell? I only have to endure that one time a week. Please don't make me do it twice. And especially not here in my happy place, my cocoon, my safety nest here on Lombardi's Bar. Welcome in, everybody. If you are new to the channel, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit subscribe and like the show. Share us out to all of the other Packer fans. We got a lot to talk about in Packerland, obviously, after the trade deadline yesterday. Plenty to discuss with that. We've got a few guys joining us up here at the bar today. But first, Todd Varney is here, and we need to address the real elephant in the room, Todd.
Yeah.
What's your cult? What is your cult all about? You are the prototypical cult leader, and you posed this question on social media today.
I don't
like it needs to get discussed.
I don't like that I'm a prototypical cult leader, whatever that means. But I see it. I get it. What was that?
I think it's self-explanatory.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I get it. No, I don't know. I was thinking, maybe if the Packers are going to suck, I'm going to have some free time on my hands, right?
Mm-hmm.
I need to put
you're going to find religion.
I got to put my energy somewhere else. Are you all right over there?
I am.
Got an earthquake happening in Detroit.
No, I was trying to fix my chair, and I knocked my whole desk.
Okay. But no, so I was just thinking, I'd crowdsource some ideas here on what I could start a cult for.
It's a grassroots cult, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just looking for ideas. That's all.
Okay. Pickett, he's pushing for the weeb angle. If you want to hit that Gen Z, whatever is after Gen Z target crowd.
I don't want to discuss anybody younger than Gen Z and my weebs. Thank you.
Clip that whole thing for posterity.
Let's start over. I just thought you're an ideas guy. What do you
know what? No. Here's the thing. I'm more of a macro guy. I'm more of a big picture.
Okay.
General direction guy. Jay figured it out for you. He comes in and asks the same question every day. You're the Church of Riz, baby.
The Church of Riz.
The Church of Riz. That's what it is.
I am ordained already.
We both are. We both are ordained. We could. Would you have me as a second in command?
I'd let you. I don't know if I go second in command, but I'd let you spread the word.
Okay.
Yeah.
Iowa Joe puts in the chat. Grand Order of the Holy Cheese. Cheese Riz. How did the Cheese Whiz people not come up with Cheese Riz yet? You all heard it right here.
This is the
Crypto Show on Shark Tank.
There it is.
Yeah. Well, damn, Todd. How are you hanging in after everything? Because I feel like it's just Jay comes in and asks that question every day, every week on the channel. but I feel like it's an important question to ask every Packer fan right now. How is the Riz everywhere? Because I feel like it's up and down no matter who you talk to.
I feel like I'm in a good spot, to be honest with you. I think, you know, the reality that we're in a rebuild is really it's set in. I'm good with that, and I trust that these guys know where they're going. Right? It's not like Goody just walked into this incredible team, and that's just what he did. Like, he put together good pieces. Yes, Aaron Rodgers was here, but let's remember the team that the roster that Ted Thompson left was not good.
Not good.
And so Goody went through a mini rebuild at one point, or a retooling, whatever we want to call it. I'm confident he can do it again. And I think there's some good pieces here. And just like we saw this weekend, how many balls hit guys in the hands that got dropped? Like, it's little things. Let's go back to Devontae. What was it? His third year before he was finally a guy that when the ball went his way, you were confident he was going to catch it. Like, I'm not worried about that for the future with these guys. I think there's a lot of good pieces here. I think there's a lot of holes here. And at this point, let's do what we've got to do to get draft picks to be able to turn this around. I think next year's probably going to be very similar, if not worse. I think we're going to see some of these veteran guys on the team now get cut, save some cap space moving forward, and it's going to go there. So understanding that, knowing that, like, I'm in let's get a top 5 draft pick at this point. Let's just because it would be, as much as getting the number 1 draft pick would just feel gross, it would be phenomenal having that in front of the Bears having 2 or 3.
That would,
and just being able to spoil that a little bit for them.
It very much would be funny.
They're going to take Caleb Williams and Drake May and still screw them both up. So it doesn't really matter. But
try to Frankenstein them into one quarterback. Yeah.
No, honestly, I would love to see us get the 1 pick. Mostly, my buddy Eddie has futures on Marvin Harrison being drafted number 1 overall. I would love it. I would love it if Eddie got that bet to hit with the Packers drafting him, but it's not going to happen. We're taking an O tackle. It's just going to be gross, and it'll be fine.
Oh,
how about you? Where are you at?
I'm good, baby. I'm good.
You sure?
Yeah, I am.
I've been worried about you the last few weeks. You've been really on the edge.
Really?
It felt like you were still expecting this team to be good.
I don't think I was expecting this team to be good. I would like to see, like, there's a difference between being competent and being good. You know what I mean? Like,
not interested in that. No.
Okay. Well, you can be a competent offense or a team in general and not be good, like, and not win games, and still make these mistakes. Like, they just, like, I want to see them be at least somewhat competitive at times, and they haven't been. That's what's really bummed me out, is seeing it did. I was leaving the bathroom of Lambeau Field in the post-coital cloud of that comeback win, and I was walking out the door, and as I was leaving, I looked back over my shoulder at this sea of people in the bathroom, and I yelled out, "Start a new era, boys!" And I banged on the door and walked out like I was in, like, a movie or something. That got me. That New Orleans game fucking got me, man. But still, I understood with that moving forward, there's going to be bumps in the road. What I didn't want to see is in like the Minnesota game and the Broncos game, it looked like the team gave up at times. It looked like they came out with no fire, with no interest in being on the field, no competitive edge, nothing. That's what I don't want to see. That's what I don't want to see. I want to see our guys compete, but they need to do it. They need to do it competently, and they might not win. I just need to see them competent, and that's all I care about. But I'm on the same train as you. Let's move forward. I go back, and everyone loves to talk about the run the table season. You could argue that season helped to set this franchise back by a couple of years, because if they not tank, but if they lose more of those games, they're picking a higher draft pick. Maybe they pick a higher wide receiver or somebody to fill in for David Bakhtiari at this point. Something. But they run the table, and it's this great comeback, and they make it all the way into the NFC Championship game. And isn't this just a great story and everything? Well, it ended up fucking us with a lower draft pick. And what did we show? What did it show for us? What? Another NFC Championship loss. Great. Add it to the rafters. It is a bit of a therapy session, but that's like I saw the comment from Jair today. Like, I'm glad that somebody in their locker room has that mentality of we want to go out and win all of these games. Great, Jair. I really, really, truly hope. I hope we don't win every game. I do not want to win out. That would be it would have to be a
hold on. We can win out if we're including the playoffs in that, because then we're winning a Super Bowl.
Sure. Yes. But
that's the problem. This is exactly what people talk about when they are talking about spoiled Packer fans, is that because all I've ever known is Favre and Rodgers, there's still a little piece of me that's like, I mean, they could get hot and end up in the Super Bowl. Like, no, this team is awful. They are so bad. They are doing all of the small things wrong. And right. I don't know, judging by the number of people, which is 2 so far with the organization in the last week, that have said, your boy, Josh Myers, is playing the best ball of his career. And Goody even piled on that and said he's playing really, really well. Like, the fact that that's where we're at on some of these guys is just absolute, just like they're not winning out in the regular season. They're not making it to but there's still that little part of me that's just like, well, I mean,
right.
They're the Packers.
What I don't want us to do is get on a win streak where we're winning these ugly close games, and we're, let's say we have another Miracle in Motown on Thanksgiving and we beat and we just barely squeak into the playoffs, and this team, it would take, this is not talking about an Aaron Rodgers led team with a bunch of veterans who just need to get healthy, or just need to figure this part out, or just need to stop turning the ball over. No, this is a team that from top to bottom has a lot of issues with it. And it's not something I think you can fix in season. It would be an unprecedented turnaround. And so I don't want to win ugly games like that for the sake of winning ugly games.
Right. Well, and it goes to kind of what I was saying when we were talking about, running with Anders, and why aren't they bringing in a veteran kicker to go with him, or veteran wide receivers, whatever. And I said, if it's the difference, if the youth and the mistakes are the difference between this team being 8-9 or 5-12, let them be 5-12.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's those ugly games, let's lose them and get that draft pick. Like, that's
exactly.
Unfortunately, that's where
that's what I fudge, man. Like that. Okay, let's bring in. I want to bring in Umar here. He just joined us because Umar is my spirit animal. He feels my anger and channels it with me after every post game here. Umar, I am so. If I have to hear one more Packer fan say they should have brought in a veteran presence for this team, I may run through a plate glass window. Like, this team does not need wily veteran help this year. They don't need leaders or shit. Let the guys figure it out for themselves. Matt, shut up.
Okay. All right. Well,
For the
You
record,
guys-
that's what
I'm
I
like-
was saying all training camp, Dan, and you seem to think that was a terrible idea.
I did not say that. I
Do you
did not say
you
that.
know we record all of these shows and they're on the internet.
Go find the clip. Go find the clip.
You do your own research. I know what I heard. If you think you didn't, then go find it. But it's out there.
all right. So,
You have the floor, Emmer.
okay. Did I miss
We're
Oh,
just-
Dan, Dan
No.
said he's doing
No,
fine.
we were
Dan's
doing a vibe check, and it
Okay.
transitioned into bitching about this team. So
Okay. All right.
I will let
Yeah,
you.
Dan's doing
okay.
fine. Riz all time high for him. He's feels
through the
great about
fucking
this
roof,
team,
baby.
Yeah. He's not concerned.
Well, I'm definitely one of those dudes. I'm sorry, Dan. I was the guy we should have brought back Mercedes Lewis. We should have at least brought in a couple of vets. We should have at least helped with the I mean, you think about you already have 3 rookie tight ends right now trying to learn on the job by a tight end who's really not a tight end.
I love you,
Uh,
Kelsey.
Degura is a beast in the sense that he's a follower of Jesus and he loves everything God related because that's all he talks about. Just got recently married. He's a Cincinnati kid with a lot of heart, but he can't block to save his fucking life. And he has arms shorter than Tywin Lannister from Game of Thrones. He literally has T-Rex arms. So
Hello.
all I'm saying is that, and that was a knock coming out of him from Lance Zerline. Then when they're making fun of our draft picks, that's one of the things he said to Jeremiah, which was hilarious. It's like, well, thanks, dog. But no, I really do feel like Goody created this team with this like on the job training, and expected a lot of these guys to learn while getting experience game time. And the problem is that like you have a first-time tight end coach, John Dunn, who didn't know what he was. Who was really this is his first time being tight end coach, former quarterback. We've talked about that, right? As well as there's a lot of coaches on our staff that just don't have, I feel like, enough history in the leagues of really young staff to be able to really guide these men. It's been said previously too, where like LaFleur could take a veteran team and take it to 13-3 seasons. I agree with that because that's exactly what he did. But when it comes to him now having to coach younger guys who need to be taught the game, I feel like he's a great teacher in the sense of like people that are really quick to learn. But if he has to like really break it down for them and they can't get on the same level as him when it comes to like his understanding of the game, because he's been doing this for how long now, right? I really feel like that's where he's struggling right now. And no, I definitely think we need the veteran assist. I wish we were traded for. I'm not saying traded for any big names. Of course, you know how I am on Twitter. I'm like asking for every freaking player that's exists that's on the trading block. But the truth is, like, I really felt like there were people that we could have brought in to at least help with some of the transitions, some of the on the job training, which we didn't do. And now you're seeing the results of that. Poor coaching, poor play, everything. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like, going back and forth with people either hating on Love or hating on LaFleur. And of course, I was very pissed off by Rasul getting traded, but the more and more I think about it, it makes sense. I mean, he's 29 years old. He'll be 30 next year, last year of his deal. Yeah, I mean, I get it. But, like, who do you have coming up behind him that you really want to see? I mean, you've seen enough Carrington Valentine. You've seen enough of Corey Valentine. Like, I was like, what are we looking to see here? Like, I don't know. Like, you can't come up on the presser today and be like, oh, hey, we're looking to win against the Rams. And you literally take one of your best players on your team and you trade him away. And you say it's for an offer that you couldn't refuse. A 3rd-round pick, giving up a 5th, which really is a 4th-round pick. Yeah, nah, man, that's not how you do this thing. The last thing I'll say is that Rodgers was talking how there was a text message going back and forth by him saying, like, Brian Gutekunst is like Jerry Krause, right? Thinking that he's bigger than the team when it was in Chicago with Jordan and Pippen and everything. I'm getting that vibe. I really am. And I'm getting this vibe where I'm really starting to get soured on Gutekunst. I'm not feeling it.
Okay. Here's my rebuttal to that.
And here we go.
Cheers, motherfuckers. Jerry Krause got too big for his britches because they were having success. So I don't think you can argue that he's in some Jerry Krause I'm the mastermind of all of this. When what success has he had? I think the problem lies smack dab with Matt LaFleur and this coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
Because I
that.
don't think you need to bring on a veteran presence to be there. Look at the Lions. It is almost entirely a rookie or young wide receiving core, a rookie tight end who's playing out of his mind, a rookie running back, and a bunch of young pieces across the offensive line. Go watch Hard Knocks last year. They had the coaching staff in there that motivates and trains and puts in the message with all these guys, and they have the coaching system set up there to make it work. I don't think they don't have it here.
Detroit did have Brock Wright, who was a second-year guy there, which you can kind of call it Deguara, right?
No,
They
sure.
had Chark. They had other wide receivers, Marvin Jones Jr. Marvin Jones has been in the league very long time.
Yeah, but they traded those guys. They got rid of them. They
were there.
And how did having a veteran presence around these guys do last year? It doesn't look like it helped Dobbs or Watson having Cobb and Lazard and the big free agent signing of Sammy Watkins. Like, it doesn't look like it helped them progress at all.
I put that more on Rodgers, though. I feel like you do know the snap. You know how it is, like when it came to snaps, right? Dobbs missed half the season with the ankle injury. Then you had Watson that had missed time. And then when they were getting there. But what was Rodgers doing? Rodgers was literally feeding Cobb, Allen.
Sure.
I mean, he was feeding all his boys. He wasn't really giving these guys opportunities to succeed unless he had no choice. And then when he did, things didn't go his way, which I get it. Part of me is understanding of, like, if you can't do your job and run what you're supposed to run, and everything falls apart. I can see why he was so frustrated. That's why he kept saying he wanted to be a part of a rebuild. Right. I get it now. Not that I want Rodgers back by any means.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Real quick, before we go any further, fourth member of the bar joining us today, Mr. Jason Perrone. Jason, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, you want to hear someone that was
your mic's off, bud.
Someone passionate about
Jason Perronen. Perronen is apparently my name there. It's because I can't spell.
I didn't know if that was like an inside joke or something. He's gonna let you.
No, I can't spell. That's all there is to. Oh, it seems to have fixed itself. Look at that. That's great.
There it goes.
Just call me the anti-Joe Barry. I fixed something, and I
boom.
Took care of it. No, but what's up, everybody?
Good, man.
Good, man. I was gonna say we don't need to ask how Jason's doing because he comes in off the top rope hot like that. So wrist check for Jason absolutely through the roof again. But Jason, seriously though, we're kind of recapping. We're doing a vent session here.
I would you.
Where do you we cleared out and let Elmer ISO here. So ball is to you. We're out on the wings. Run with it, baby. Where are you?
Is there any time left on the? If Elmer went already, is there any time left on the shot clock?
He bricked it. He bricked it. We got a new
sorry.
shot clock.
I know.
He bricked it off the side. New shot clock.
Do we use it? Do we use it all? I mean,
it was bad.
I kind of, I don't know. I mean, I kind of unloaded on Quick Slants 2 weeks ago after the Broncos game. I went off the rails. So you guys listen to that show. And now it's like, it's kind of, I'm the fool if I get jacked up over the way that this team is playing. I mean, my biggest concern, and I said this on Pack a Day with Eckel on before the season started, when we were talking about what's your biggest concern, my biggest concern even back then was Matt LaFleur. Is Matt LaFleur going to be able to keep this team together as young as they are? And that's the biggest thing right now. Is I'm having a hard time telling whether he's having a hard time getting the improvement week to week, or if this is just a historically young and not good to conglomerated group of players that is causing some of these issues. That's the thing that I find most difficult to put my finger on. And I guess that's going to be the interesting thing now moving forward through the rest of the season, is watching that play out week after week and hopefully getting an answer to some of that. And unfortunately, if it keeps sliding, like you guys have probably already talked about this, changes are coming and everybody wants changes. And we all know, the Joe Barry thing and Matt LaFleur and all that kind of stuff. But whenever there's change, it takes time for that to take effect. Like if you people just fire the head coach, fire the GM. Okay, well now you're setting the franchise back because you've got a new voice picking players and all that other kind of stuff. So I mean, it just to wrap it up with a pretty bow there, it just looks really rough. It's hard to watch for 3 hours a week.
Yeah.
Not that I would ever not want Packers football, but it just is rough to watch.
Are you opening your mail? What are you doing?
So
I saw you move a box, and it's like I
Amazon
double wrapping the.
So I every year, the Packers always just take me for my money, right? And so I went ahead and got my 2024 Packers calendar thing. I got my 2 calendars, one from my office, one from my closet, and then of course I have my desk thing that I get every year. I didn't want to this year. I want to be like that. Want to be like Rob Lowe. I want to have like a, I'm here for the refs or some shit. This is just fucking terrible, but I can't do it. I just can't stop. I just can't stop loving my Packers. But I think I agree with Jay. Jason's right though. Jason's 100% right. Like where this has become unbearable to watch. Like it was when me and Dan were doing the game recap. I only saw bits and pieces of the game, and then I went back and I put myself through it. I don't know why the hell I did it, but I went back and watched the replay of the whole freaking game, and I really wish I had it because it was atrocious. Like just seeing on the first drive, we're just seeing shit that you're like, this is week 8, week 9. Like, what are we doing? Like, why are we having these mistakes? I guess when we were, I mean. I'm like 41 going on 42. So I do remember vaguely the 80s and how bad we were. But I was a kid, so it's kind of hard. But now going back and watching, hearing other people talk about stuff like that, it feels like that's coming right around the corner. And I'm telling you, I'm getting blasted on Twitter because of my 13-4 prediction. I feel like we can do it. I just don't think the leadership's there. I just really don't.
Well, I think I brought it up a couple of weeks ago with the coaching staff is that there's not guys on the staff that have been in the league, that have played, that have done it before.
You said that.
I think with a young team, like that would buy a lot of credibility. And I also think there's a lot of coaches that are just way out over their skis. I don't think Steno's an OC. I think Matt is now stuck babysitting the defense as well. I don't know what Rich Bisaccia is doing besides just cashing checks, because he was the savior for this special teams, apparently, which was going to solve all of this team's problems. And I haven't seen anything from special teams since the Nixon return that's been like, okay,
they've blocked 2 field goals this year.
Okay, one of those is because Yash is huge and just put a hand in the air. But anyway, either way, that's what it comes down to. What's he doing? And he's the assistant head coach as well.
Yeah.
Okay? So what are you doing to take work off of Matt to help Matt focus on the offense?
Is Rich Bisaccia pulling a house of cards? Like, is he pulling strings behind the scenes, setting everybody up for failure, and waiting for Matt LaFleur to get the accent? He'll come up and he'll all of a sudden have like a southern accent and be like, "Well, Mr. Goody, I do declare, if you need me to be the head coach of this team, I will humbly accept the position."
Like Michael Scott on The Office. Todd, when you said the Nixon return, it's been so long since the Packers have done anything good. I literally thought Richard Nixon. Like that's literally where my brain went.
The return.
I'm like, Nixon. That's how long it's been.
Nixon's back.
Yeah. No. I don't know. And guys, you might have talked about this already, but my other thing too is I think the body language is going to change. These are human beings. I mean, these are athletes.
We've already seen it.
Yeah. Well, they're athletes conditioned to play well and play hard. And they're not, listen, when you say the word tank, like athletes are insulted by that kind of stuff. Yeah. And it's not going to happen. Yep. They're not going to do that. But the Jair thing. So I had someone say like, oh, he sounds like he's 1 foot out the door. I'm like, I think that was more frustration because of his injury. I think he's really frustrated that he is hurt, can't play as effectively as he can. But you just sent one of the heart and souls of that, not just defensive backfield, but the entire team, especially the defense away. I'm going to be watching the body language.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because like Nixon said it. Like, so Carlos Silva, another guy that's a really good follow on Twitter, he had said that he'd expected Nixon to be like, I'm really looking forward to filling in his shoes and this and that. No, Nixon's saying opposite. He goes, that guy was the heart and soul of our defense. He goes, I feel like shit right now. My stomach is in knots. And I'm just like, damn, like, and then even, Jair, he had the company line because he's even said he's tired of getting yelled at by PR team for saying the wrong thing. You make this move, and it's funny when they question Gutekunst about, oh, yeah, we take all that in consideration. No, fuck you do, dog. You just making moves over there in your little like damn castle. You don't give a shit about what the hell's going on. You just want to you get a 3rd round pick that you can fuck up again. Like, that's amazing. That's great. Yeah, okay. But like the truth is, like, the coach, like, I feel like they, like you were saying, right? They promoted guys from within, and now LaFleur's realizing that these guys don't have the same attention to detail that he does. So now he's having, instead of delegate, he's getting his hand involved in so many different things that now he can't even focus on what he needs to do. Like, he's probably playing so much time with Joe Barry's freaking doofus, freaking goober looking ass, trying to get that defense right, that he probably can't get time to get scripted 25 plays, and he's putting it on Steno, and Steno's over there looking at blocking schemes because he don't know what the hell damn freaking offensive game is. Like, I'm just over it.
Can we? I think, like, the narrative that Brian Gutekunst doesn't know what he's doing, or is for some reason intentionally tearing this team apart. Like, he took a guy who wasn't going to be here next year because of how much he was going to cost. They weren't going to renegotiate and re-sign him because
who was originally a practice squad player.
Mm-hmm. So essentially what they did was they took a guy who's not going to be here next year and said, we're going to send a 5th round pick and a guy who's not going to be here anymore to get a top 100 pick for us to try
and save 6.5 mil.
Yeah. Like, that's where it's at. And does that help us? And Goody, yeah, he did say in the presser a couple of times, like, we're focused on the Rams this week. We're focused on beating the Rams. Does trading Rasul help you with that? No, it doesn't. But he also mentioned in there that all GMs have to think about the future as well. And that's where it comes in of, you just got offered a top 100 pick for essentially a 5th round pick. You're saving $6 million, and the guy's going to be gone next year anyways. So yeah, it sucks that he was a heart and soul of the team. Do I think it had anything to do with him speaking his mind? No, because it didn't sound like he was saying, he wasn't bashing the coaching staff. He wasn't bashing the front office. He was talking to the guys in the locker room, trying to get them to pick it up. You're not going to trade a guy like that based on, like, he's not a good locker room guy, because he's trying to pick his teammates up. He wasn't shit talking people. And so I don't know where that narrative is coming from, that, like, well, if you open your mouth around Green Bay, they're going to trade you. The last two veterans that they traded were 2 guys that didn't want to be here anymore, in Rodgers and Adams. So yeah, open your mouth. And if you open your mouth and say, hey, I disagree with how the organization's being ran and I don't want to be here anymore, then yeah, they're going to trade you. Like, go to work and do the same thing and see how long you keep your job. Like,
well, Jair did say, I think at some point, didn't he reportedly say after that media session that he was tired of getting chastised for, like, speaking his mind? And so I guess he might have been talked to about his candidness, but that's where I think, okay, the company line thing or whatever. But I just said it, preview for Pack-A-Day, because I just recorded that with Eckel for tomorrow, for Thursday, is you kind of have to grade these players on a curve when they speak to the media. So for example, if Jair comes out and he's outspoken and he says some more outspoken stuff, okay, well, that's his thing. That's his personality. Okay, I can take that for what it is. Like, love him or hate him, when Ray Lewis spoke, we all knew where he was coming from because he had a certain persona, right? Now, if Julius Peppers gets up to the podium and starts banging on the podium and throwing stuff around, we're all going to damn sure pay attention, because that's out of character for him, right? So I think it's more of just read the tea leaves, but we crave the reality. Like, that's the frustrating thing. Like, when Gutekunst spoke, he said some things that were okay. We got some nuggets there, but then he also said some things too, where it's like, oh, you have to say that. I mean, it's a rough season right now. And so, yeah, I don't,
like Josh Myers.
Right. Yeah, well, we debated that today too. And I don't want how in the weeds we want to get on specific position groups. So we debated that as well, but it's also kind of like, well, what do you expect him to say versus, you
can just not mention Josh Myers' name.
You could, yeah, you could.
Exactly.
Because he didn't mention Zach Tom being like,
yes,
right, or John Runyon Jr. He specifically, it's nice to have Elton back in there doing things. Rasheed Walker, and I because Rasheed Walker did have a couple nice games in there, and in a spots it became apparent that he wasn't the guy to keep moving forward with. And I think in order to keep his confidence level in a good place moving to the future, you give him a little prop there of, hey, Rashid came in and did good for us, there in a couple of games.
Yep.
And then to just be like, and Josh Myers, wow, let me tell you about that guy.
Yeah.
And then that's where you stop. Like, you've got
Yeah.
a whole right side of the line. If you're just congratulating everybody for showing up to work, I mean, maybe Josh finally learned how to tie his shoes, and that's what they're stoked about. Like,
I think the Packers unfairly get this reputation for being too vanilla, and their social media team wasn't fun for a while, and so it's like, oh, they don't let them say anything, but that's just narrative. They say plenty. I mean, I know Bakhtiari's a little more off the rails, but there have been plenty of good personalities in Green Bay lately. I think that's just convenient. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but it's not, to your point, Todd, not true.
Let me say one thing. I want to clarify. I know that Gutekunst does look out for the best interest of the team. I do feel like sometimes pride and ego do play into anybody's position of power, right? Like, you make certain decisions, certain picks, or whatever you do, you have to stick by them. Hence why Amari Rodgers was on his team for so long. Probably why he keeps talking up Josh Myers, because he invested top 100 picks on those two guys, and he can't come out and say they suck. So he has to, of course, support them as best he can. I know that he is looking out for the best. And Todd, you're 100% right. You're paying Emma way too much money to be hyping you up for MVP of the show. I definitely think that. And secondly, the truth is, like Gutekunst is going to look out for the future. And I think us as Packer fans, we go into every single season, regardless of how grim it looks, is to expect us to be in contention for a Super Bowl. I think, like, even right now as a rebuild, I get that. I just don't think that make these kind of decisions obviously tells you that that's not the case, and that's the scary part, right? Because we've never really had to go through something like this since when we had Clay Matthews and BJ Raji got drafted. That was that was that 6-10 season, and that was literally after a 4-12. No, was it 4-12? Was it 13-3 that we lost? Yeah, it was 13-3, right? And then we had a 6-10 season, and we turned it back around, but long time.
What happened? Was there any major changes that happened for that 6-10 season?
Well, of course, we changed our quarterback.
Okay, yeah. So it's almost like that's kind of a thing that happens.
No, I get that. I'm not denying that. I'm
not throwing that at you. I'm just putting that out there.
No, you're 100% right. Like, that was a big change. It's like we're having a big change right now, right? But we had a good foundation back then. Like, back then, the team had multiple drafts that had built up a certain kind of base that when they did add certain players, it turned around quick, right? I think all of us can agree that these drafts that he's had in the last couple of years have not been the greatest. And so, we're now at a point now where we're not sure how long it's going to take for us to A, get out of this cap hell, and B, be able to replenish our roster to where we can be competitive again, because that's never been a concern of ours. Every year it's been like retooling, just get the right couple pieces here and there. Hell, now we're looking at how about I gut the whole damn thing, and that's a scary thought.
Yeah, I mean, I before we move into, our buy around the actual first segment of the show, 40 minutes into
I
it.
kind of thought we were just scrapping segments at this point.
I've brought this up several times before, but I feel like it's pertinent. I'm a Detroit Tigers fan. I grew up when I started watching baseball. I started really following baseball 05, 06, right before the Tigers got really good, And they went on a stretch there where they were a powerhouse. They dominated the AL Central. It was playoffs or bust. It wasn't good enough to make the ALCS. You needed to make it to the World Series. And look what they did. They fucking went all in. They cashed in all chips, gutted the minor league system, threw money at everybody, and it didn't pay off. And that's fine. But at a certain point, the bill comes due for cash for pushing it all in to the middle. You have to trade away Verlander, Scherzer, guys like that for peanuts. You have to watch Akil Baddoo play center field or something. You have to get through those growing pains. And David, shout out David Henderson in the chat, fellow Tigers fan. He should know it takes a while to turn that ship around. It's not going to be overnight every single time, especially the transition from Favre to Rodgers is different because you had that team basically already set up and you just plugged in a new quarterback.
Yeah.
They kicked the can so far down the road for the last few windows of that Rodgers window that you couldn't keep that team around. There was no way to build around that team, really.
Right. So that was a good team that Rodgers came in. They were still 6-10. Like there's still with a transition like this, it's huge. And even if there is a good team there, like it still takes a lot to readjust, to get a guy into just the form of what's going on. David has another one here that we threw up. You've got to keep guys on the team, because as his next one is, we're relying on too many rookies in second year. You've got to let these guys develop. And at this point, if we start getting rid of rookie, second, third year guy, do you know who fills their place?
Yeah, grocery baggers.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Street free agent. So
straight off the
and especially with the top 100 guys, like even if you're just talking about your Josh Myers and your Amaris and guys like that, you're going to, because you've invested in them. And like you said today, it's a rookie deal. It's a 4-year rookie deal. So you've got them fairly cheap to get them experience and to make sure that before you let them go, you've given it every opportunity. And just like when Amari left last year, I think I was the only person that was like, why are we sad to see this guy go? Everybody was like, oh my God, good luck. I hope he does great. Like, why? What did he do for us? And guess what? He didn't do anything anywhere. They found out he's not a good player. Swing and miss, but it wasn't it's just a system. It's just, they weren't, Cobb was taking all of his snaps. They didn't let him. No, he's just not a good football player at the professional level.
Todd, since you bring up that whole situation with the fans reacting to Amari Rodgers, I want to bring up this point. Since we have lit fire to the segments for this show, we're flying by the seat of our pants here. I want to address this because Monday night we saw the frustration with Davante Adams after at the end of that game, and I was bothered by it a little bit to see so many Packer fans be loudly gloating about Davante Adams being frustrated with the play of his team while simultaneously losing to one of our biggest division rivals at the moment. I don't know why you're taking solace in that fact, but to see Packer fans gloat about Davante Adams struggling in Oakland or in Las Vegas, I don't understand the logic there. Can someone help me with where do you guys stand on that? Are we
Scorned X? It's the Scorned X thing. It's like people forget, first of all, that he was traded and there were other factors in there too. It wasn't just it wasn't just he made the comments about wanting to do things, be Hall of Fame. He wanted to go play with Derek Carr, and that obviously didn't pan out. But he didn't know that was going to be the case. But there were a lot of things that happened in Green Bay that you have to put yourself in his shoes and say, hey, this man's accomplished a lot of things. Like he's got priorities and goals and stuff that he wants. I think part of that, honestly, Dan, in a weird way, is people who are just so frustrated with what the Packers have at wide receiver that they're mad that Davante isn't here, and because we need him. They need him.
I'll push back on like something that Todd had said too, and a lot of people have that same message about the fact that Davante didn't want to be in Green Bay, and that's just not true. I mean, it's been kind of said multiple times by Jason Wilde, who's actually spoken to him personally, as well as from Davante's own mouth, that he planned on staying in Green Bay. He did have some reservations about Rodgers leaving. Right? He didn't know if he was going to be there when he was chasing greatness. There's a lot of these things that played into it. But the way that the Packers came to him and lowballed him off the bat, I understand that's a part of negotiation or whatever. But that played a huge factor in him being like, all right, well, I guess I'm not really valued here. And then, of course, on his way out the door, mind you, he's already bought the house in Vegas. Everything's kind of been taken care, almost, put in place, right? Oh, we're going to offer you the biggest contract, more than what Vegas is, which was literally for the way for Packer PR to save face for the Packer organization. Then, who knows if he'd have stayed? Who knows? Maybe Rodgers would have stayed. Who knows? A lot of factors that kind of go after the fact, right? But it was the fact that you're not lowballing potential Hall of Famers. You probably didn't do that to David Bakhtiari. You probably didn't do that to Rodgers. So why are you doing that to this guy who's actually literally played through so much and literally played on a discounted rate on his first extension? So yeah, he wanted to get paid, and you come back with this low ball offer. Yeah, I just feel like there's a narrative out there because of the fact that the Packers did offer him out the door when it was literally just to save face, to say, oh yeah, we offered him more money. He just didn't want to be here. That's not true. You guys were disrespectful with your offer, and that's what happened. Now, is that the right way or wrong way of doing things? I don't know, but I just think that you're not doing that across the board with all your players, not with all of your potential Hall of Fame players.
Yeah, and the whole idea that oh well, he went to the Raiders, he knew what he was getting himself into.
Yeah, I don't like that either. Yeah, no.
What the fuck do you think we are? We lost to that team. So this whole grass is greener, isn't it, Devontae? You should have stayed around.
In all fairness, the Raiders have been traditionally dysfunctional.
But that's what I'm saying.
So they might have beat us but that's like somebody going to Chicago and then Chicago keeps losing and you're like, well, you knew where you were going. Just because they might beat us once in a while doesn't mean that all of a sudden they're a well-functioning and running organization.
That I'm not saying they are.
He went to dysfunction.
I'm saying we are dysfunction now. So why do you think we have a bad superiority?
How are we dysfunctional? Because we're in a rebuild?
Yes, the team.
I don't buy it. That's horseshit.
Hold on.
I don't know, Todd. All the stuff with the coaching stuff, man.
One bad season with Rodgers on his way out, and now the youngest team we've ever seen, and all of a sudden we're dysfunctional. That's bullshit. That's
saying,
horseshit.
What I'm saying is, right now this season, if you are comparing rosters, teams, whatever, we're on the same level. We are all in the 7th layer of hell. So to say that, he thought he could do better in Las Vegas
as an organization, Green Bay can dig out of it.
Everybody knows, but like you said, everybody knows that the Raiders are a hot mess. He didn't go there to say that's my best chance to win a ring. Right. He went there because he wanted to play with Derek Carr. He went there because that was a lifelong dream of his, to play with his college quarterback and to play in a location where his family could watch him more easily. And it just was a different situation. He had grown out of. They just grew apart, him and the Packers. So to say that he got what he deserved, he went there because that's what he wanted. So why are we busting his balls trying to think that he thought he was going to do better than us? It's not always an attack on the Packers, guys.
He's from there too, right? He's from Palo Alto too, so it's lifelong dream to be a Raiders, this and that. I mean, right. I don't think that we're a full dysfunction like the Raiders, but I think this year we are dysfunctional based on the fact that things that we're seeing, that a young team may have those issues at a certain point, they kind of get out of them, and we're seeing the same things occur over and over again. We're actually seeing things that are happening more often than they should. We are literally seeing the team regress instead of even just staying stagnant or even getting a little bit better.
I think what Todd means, yeah, you're right, Umar, but I think what Todd means is that, yes, it doesn't look pretty. It's not pretty. You're not saying it's a pretty product on the field, but the Packers are not lit on fire. And
he's 100% right. He's 100% on that.
Without
it's not long-term organizational dysfunction, but we can point at teams around the league: Cleveland, Chicago, the Jets, the Raiders are one of them that are historically from year to year dysfunctional.
The Cardinals,
and that's not who the Packers are. And to say that we're at that same level,
we're dysfunctional. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say that.
I'm not saying the organization is dysfunctional. I'm saying this team right now, the team that he's in, the situation that he's in. We're on the same level. If you want to play hypothetical, think about it this way. Think about it if it was the Raiders. Instead of the Raiders, if it was the New England Patriots, one of the most traditionally well-run franchises in the last 25 years, who are a dumpster fire right now, roster-wise. If he went there, are we making and he went there for the same reasons. He went to go play here. He went to go play here because for reasons that had nothing to do with winning. And so to say like, well, why did you expect to win? Well, because like it's not always that, but you can still have that fire, and he's in a bad situation. We can still feel sorry for him and feel empathy for him that he's frustrated in a situation, especially they trade away one of the reasons he went there.
Whoever these people are that are complaining about Adams, I hope they don't follow the NBA at all, because that's a whole nother level of get me out of town.
Yeah.
By the way, enjoy LA, James Harden. Thanks for coming out west into my division. Great.
That's going to be such a shit show there, though.
I'll let you know how that all goes. But that's the thing, though, is to Dan's point, everyone's point, and Todd and everyone too. Like, I am the only person in this group that actually watched, well, barely in the 80s, but I watched a little bit of like the Packers like coming out of being really bad. I didn't watch like during the bad years. I wasn't a fan yet, but we don't want to go
so
back
you're a
to
fair weather fan.
Yeah, so 100% fair weather. Yeah, yes, I was 6-year-old me. 6-year-old me. Like, how dare you go outside on that seesaw?
Fair weather fan since the 80s.
Yeah, like how dare you?
I've been in his crosshairs. Now he's pushing it, Jason.
But I just there's a little bit of that fear that they don't want to see the organization go back into that, because everyone keeps talking about how history eventually is cyclical, and like we know things aren't going to be as good, but we just hopefully anything can possibly fall apart. But I would say this: as much as you don't agree with Matt LaFleur's ability to lead this team, or if you don't like Goody's way he GMs and Barry and all the coaches and all that other kind of stuff too, they're a pretty well run organization. They keep it together. It's not like it can't happen. I mean, they let Mike McCarthy go with a month left. I mean, that's a Super Bowl winning head coach. They navigated that. My other question and fear is that if changes need to be made, you've got an outgoing president that is going to retire in 2 years. Is he going to be in any rush to make a move, knowing that it's not going to be his mess to clean up or deal with?
Well, and it might be an understanding that he has where, again, because of the way that the organization likes continuity, he might be saying, look, we're going to let these guys drive right now. You've got to let them build a team post Rodgers. You've got to give them a chance to do that. And so he knows, okay, if I fire these guys and we start over right now, the next guy that comes in might want his own people. So these guys are going to have an incredibly short leash. So now we're going to have, in 3 years, we're going to redo all of this again. That's how dysfunction starts. I mean, that's what happens with the Bears, how it's fire the GM, fire the coach, and that cycle just keeps going over and over, and they can't get anywhere with it. And so that's where you have to say, we're giving this a shot. We're going to let this ride and see what happens. And these are the guys, like I said, Goody rebuilt the roster from what Ted left. He did a pretty solid job with that. As he mentioned today, like, they're going to have more tools moving forward in the future, meaning what I took that as, because he was talking about the salary cap. And what I took that to mean is we're going to be able to sign free agents again. We haven't been able to do that because we've been in salary cap hell, because we had the highest paid corner, the highest paid quarterback, the highest paid left tackle, one of the highest paid running backs. We had contracts out to Devon, like Kenny got a contract. All these guys had big contracts. We had 2 big edge rushers in the Smiths that had big contracts. You had Amos with a big contract. Like, what were they supposed to do? And now they've got 60, 70 million that's not on the field, whether it's dead cap or on the IR. Again, there's not things that they can do. They're going to rip the Band-Aid again going into next season and have probably, maybe a little bit more money to spend, but I doubt they do it, because why bring in guys who are going to take snaps away from these young dudes and the experience when you're not concerned with wins and losses? You want to get them experience. So in 25, they can spend some money. They'll have more draft picks again, and they can keep rolling through like that.
I mean, that's
dysfunction, Dan. That's dysfunction.
It's complete dysfunction. It's complete dysfunction.
That's the reason I was pretty okay with not bringing back Big Dog, was because as much as his veteran presence or whatever yes, he makes the team better as a whole and he brings a veteran presence, but I would I would much rather see what I have in these tight ends that you've invested draft capital in, see what they have, throw them out there and go crazy, you know?
And go crazy could also go the other direction too. It can be good
it's a spring, baby.
Well, and I mean, we're finding out guys that were sitting behind a big dog. We're finding out Josiah DeGuara can't play football.
Yeah,
right. So exactly.
But
rough.
so you have big dog in there, and now we're gonna kick the can down the road with DeGuara. Like, find this out right now while we're having a bad season. Get these guys in there. Same with Carrington Valentine. Like, buddy, your feet are in the fire now. So it's you're gonna learn the hard way, but you're gonna learn.
Well, if Jair doesn't go this weekend, he's gonna get some Cooper Kupp. So talk about trial by fire.
Well, and so
Cooper Kupp, Puka.
Yeah, or he's gonna get Puka. Like,
Pina colada.
Pick your poison.
No, but I'll put it this way though. On the defense, particularly, I don't let anybody go. Like, I understand Russell. Russell's different. I'm not saying anything about keeping him now. I'm saying, like, he's 29 years old. You kind of know what you have in Russell, right? I keep a lot of the defensive core that we have right now, to include Kenny, to include guys that may not be performing well right now, because I need to see a new DC in there. I know you guys know how I feel about Joe Barry, but truthfully, like, we need to have a new DC in there and a new defensive staff all across the board, Jerry Montgomery all the way up, okay, and literally see what they can do, because we are seeing other players that we formerly had that are playing other teams that are well-run defenses. They're doing well. I mean, Chris Barnes, Oren Burks, I understand, like, their snaps might be limited, but even those limited snaps are doing great. And they weren't even doing that great in us when they were playing limited snaps, right? I mean, Oren Burks he must have torn his pectoral like 3 times with us. It was insane. But I'm saying, like, I really feel like these players, like, even, I hate to say, like, even Darnell Savage is actually really coming on Pettin's scheme. Then he got let go. And then after that, he got come in Joe Barry's game, and, Joe Barry is what he is, right? So we really need all these guys that we have. I don't let any of them go. I try to find, even Kenny's having a down year, but even then, though, he's doing the best he can, right? I really feel like some of these guys do probably have things that we don't know about that don't come on the injury report or whatever. You suit it up, you play, right? What did Mark say? You got a helmet on your head. Not Mark, Eric Branchek said, if you got a helmet, you out there, you playing, you need to play football. You need to play as best you can, right? And that's exactly the way it is. And I'm really want to see what this defense is going to look like next year. God knows who's going to be. I really hope to God they don't bring back Barry, because that's just – they're just –
if they bring back Joe Barry, then that is when I start to question all of what is Brian Gutekunst's true vision for the rebuild. Because
and LaFleur too.
Well, that's exactly, because if Joe Barry comes back and you don't do anything about it, then you've lost Matt LaFleur and you've lost Joe Barry. Real quick before we jump into some bar bets, because we are going to do bar bets here to wrap up, I want to highlight something. Dave Henderson, a question he's talking about, saying that we're kicking the can on 2024. I don't think any of this kicks the can on 2024. I think you're saying this year is the find out year, and moving into next year, when you've got more cap space and you've got these high draft picks, that's when you can start to play around a little bit with bringing in, a couple of veteran players here and there to fill in and kind of round out those edges where you found you didn't have the depth or the players after this year. So I don't think you're necessarily kicking the can and just saying 2024 is a complete wash. I think you're saying this was to find where the base was, and 2024 should be a step in the right direction.
No, okay. I think it's going to be worse. Because I think as much as we want to see some of those guys stick, I think Kenny sticks around, but I think Preston's gone. I think Dre's gone. Like, we're going to see more young guys get in there and get more playing time next year.
I mean, they're gone, but like, that's what I'm saying is, like, you can now go and find. We saw he brought in Devondre Campbell. He brought in Rasul Douglas on cheap contracts like that.
But they've shown they can do that. They might go get guys on cheap deals, but I don't see them going out and making a splash. Unless they find a diamond in the rough. Like, I don't think they signed Devondre Campbell going, this guy's almost an all-pro that we're bringing in. They brought Rasul off a garbage pile. And it worked out. Like, I don't think they knew what they were necessarily getting.
I'm not sure.
I don't think they had expectations as high as they did when they brought those guys.
He's a former second round pick.
They might make some things like that. But again, I don't think they're going to be concerned with wins and losses because go get a better draft pick while you're letting these young guys
that's what
figure it out.
I'm not saying they're going to.
You just said they're going to win the Super Bowl next year, Dan.
Okay, we're going to move on to bar bets before Todd says that.
I think so.
Tells me what else I said.
Dan, real quick, with what you're saying about 2024. Definitely do agree that it could be two things. It could be another burn, right? Or you got these receivers that'll be in their third year. That's normally you see 30-year jumps in players, right? You're going to see hopefully you've seen rookies come in and perform well. If Gutekunst can really hit this draft next year, get some guys in that can really hit the ground running and actually be more contributing than what we're seeing this year, right? You could see a resurgence on our team. Like I'm saying, look, we were 6-10, then we went 10-6, and it just took the team just kind of getting it together. I don't know, maybe the same thing. Because think about that too. Dom Capers came in that year as well. They got a new DC, they turned things around, and it was a completely different story, right? Could be the same thing.
Right. All I'm saying is you just have to keep tempering your expectations for a couple of years. That it's not going to be go out and sign the Smith brothers and Amos next year, but you're going to bring in more guys to help build that roster and start to elevate these guys a little bit more, the ones that you want to keep around. After this year, you trim the fat and you fill in around the pieces that you want to keep, and that's where I go. Bar bets, gentlemen, let's get into them. A lot of them. I mean, we got the Rams, so it's a lot about this Rams team. So we mentioned the name already. It's on everybody's tongue. Pukanuka, over, under 125 receiving yards in this game against this Packers secondary. Todd, I'm going to start with you, buddy. Where do you go?
Oh, shit.
5 Bakhtiari's under. I think
really
everyone's going to have a good day. They're going to spread it around.
Okay, so everyone gets 120 yards receiving against the Packers.
Yes, basically, yes.
No one hits the mark. Umar.
5 Bakhtiaris, and I say under, primarily because of the fact that I don't think Stafford's going to play. And
that is a good, yeah.
I think Joe Henderson and Royce Freeman are going to go for 5,000 yards on us rushing. So.
Okay, all right. Jason, how do you think
I think I could put up 350 on the Packers defense playing quarterback. So Stafford not playing. All right, somebody has to give me some background on
you can wager up to 5 or as little as 1 Bakhtiari, depending on how confident you feel in your bet.
Well, okay, I'll go 4 on the under because I think Cooper Kupp could possibly set some sort of a record. So I don't know if there's going to be enough time for him to get the 125.
I am going to go 5 over. I'm hammering the over on this because I think what everybody said was correct. Everyone's going to eat. Cooper Kupp is going to put up video game numbers. But Pukanuka is just – he is the type of guy that will come into a game like this and blow things out of the water while everybody else is doing the same thing. He's going to have 2 or 3 huge catches, and that's it. And it's going to be enough for he's going to get these huge plays while everybody starts focusing on Cooper Kupp. So Pukanuka over 125 receiving yards. Flip side, Aaron Donald. He's been getting veteran rest at practice the last couple of days, so don't look at the injury report. Over under. Now he's only I think he's only done 4.5 sacks this year. So I'm going to say 1.5 sacks for Aaron Donald this week. Probably going up, putting up against Josh Myers or his good buddy Elton Jenkins. I'll start with this one. I will say over because I think Aaron Donald he smells blood in the water. I think he hates the Packers, and I think he is ready to make a statement this week. So 5 Bakhtiari's over. I think he gets over 1.5 sacks there. Jason, you want to go next?
5 Bach over 100%. You nailed it. Man motivated. He's got to help his head coach atone for being the only one of the former running mates that hasn't beat Matt LaFleur. so far.
That's true. Yeah.
5 on the over. I mean,
5 on the over.
You could have gotten me to say 5 on the over if you went 2.5. Honestly,
Todd.
I'm gonna go 5 under. Let's not forget Elton Jenkins owns this man, not just on the field but also in his head. Elton Jenkins has gotten to him every time they've played. That's where it's at. Also, shout out to Dan Edwards in the chat. Dan, it is Nakua, not Nuka.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was
Get
gonna
your
say
shit together.
Yeah, you're like over here, Nuka. I'm like, bro.
That is a mistake on his part because the rhyming alliteration rolls off the tongue so much better. And as a branding, just from a branding standpoint, it should be Pukanuka.
It's his fault that his culture, his heritage. I
don't make the rules.
No.
Dan,
As a white man in
uncle-
America, I get it. It's all about you. Let you decide what this should be about. You're right.
I'm glad finally in the 4th season of this show we've realized the ultimate truth. Yes.
January
Puka,
6th.
hold on. I will Puka Nakua.
Yes. This is weird because I know you're the J6 guy, but Dan or Jimmy's the racist on the show. So
I know we need to get one of those like
Jasmine left because
pronunciation
of him.
dubs, and Dan just moves his mouth and the voice says it for him,
Yeah.
and then it says it correctly.
Or you have it like cover your mouth so you can say what.
Yeah, that's right, Don. Oompa Loompa. Might as well, right? Let's just go for broke. Good
I
call.
can't wait to watch Puka Nakua.
All I know is that his uncle-in-law, like kind of like surrogate uncle, is Dana White of UFC. So
okay.
yeah.
Wait,
like,
what do
so
you mean
he-
surrogate uncle?
So basically, he played Pop Warner Ball with Dana's kid. So
Okay.
when he was doing his rookie symposium, they're like, "Hey, call the most famous person you know." So he calls Dana, and Dana picks up. He goes, "What's up, Unc?" And he goes, "What's up, Pook?" And then that's like, so like he goes way back.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So
he don't
it's
even know
not-
how we're branding.
So
out. You don't know
it's
how we're branding.
uncle like Uncle Jesse,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cut it
He
out,
wasn't
yeah.
a real uncle, right? I never watched the show. Amr, how do you go on this one?
Oh, I'm going 4 Bakhtaris, and I'm saying over, just because the fact that everybody watched 3rd and 1. This is my pay the tab. 3rd and 1. Josh Myers couldn't block 37-yard Harrison Phillips. It was the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen. And now you have a man who practices freaking pass rushing with real knives. Dude, Josh Myers is going to die. He's literally going to fall over and just keel over, and like he did in that play. And just they're going to draw out chalk lines. It's going to be bad. It's good. Jordan's real slippery, right? Like he hasn't been sacked a lot, but he's been pressured a shit ton, right? And so we had no answer for most pass rushers, even though Daniel Hunter didn't go crazy. But yeah, no, definitely going over. And I'm scared.
I will say, in the unlikely event that Josh Myers owns Aaron Donald this week, I will be the most insufferable person on Packers Twitter for a 24-hour period.
I will eat crow. Please make me crow, Josh Myers.
Mute me now.
Yes. I did that years ago.
I was gonna say
everyone on this list is like.
I did that for Gary. So I'm okay with that. Yeah, that's the best crow I've ever ate in my entire life. So I'm fine with that.
So the last one here: will the Packers defense force at least one turnover? They have forced a turnover in all but 2 games this season, and the Rams have given up at least 1 turnover in all but 2 games, and have given up 2 turnovers in at least 3 games so far. Todd.
5 Bakhtiaris, yes. They have to at some point. I don't know.
Okay. The perfect logic. Jason?
I'm Ron Burgundy. You said force a turnover, not stumble into one. So
Good point.
because you said
hold on. Does that make a difference? Does that make a difference?
yeah, because you said force a turnover, and you would think, especially if Rippon starts, that would be a ripe situation. I'm
Right.
just going to go full nuclear. I'll go 4 Bakhtiaris. No. Under.
With the technicality, playing the technicality.
Yep.
Amr?
1 Bakhtari over.
Wow, confident.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. It's a yes.
Barry.
It's a yes. It's a yes or no question. Do they get one? Yes or no?
Oh, they get
yes.
1. I gave 1. Yes. 1.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Confident at a whole Bakhtiari.
And the whole
need-
Bakhtiari.
I need
The whole
600
Bakhtiari.
yards offense. I need 7 touchdowns. I need Joe Barry just gone. That's it.
For the rest of the year?
The rest of the year. Put Greg Williams Jr. in there. Let's go, baby.
No, I mean like rest of your total, 7 touchdowns.
No, that's my PR offense.
3 Bakhtiaris for me. Yes, they will force a turnover, and I'll say it is Rashawn Gary. I'll go extra here and mark this down. Mark this down, Matt. I will go extra and say that it is Rashawn Gary who forces the turnover, not recover the fumble or anything, but forces the fumble. Maybe gets one of those little like tip screen pass thingies or whatever, little Clay Matthews action. Rashawn Gary is the one that forces the turnover. If it's not Rashawn, don't count the bet. I'm doubling down on Rashawn. All right. Gentlemen, that was cathartic. I really enjoyed the hell out of that. I hope everyone in the chat, it was amazing for the chat. The chat was alive today. Thank you so much for everybody that stopped by and joined in. Appreciate every single one of you. If you have not done so already, make sure that you're following the show and the channel on Twitter, on social media, everywhere. Subscribe, like, share the show with everybody you know. Get notified every time they go live by subscribing on the YouTube channel. Jason and Umar, thank you so much for joining us. Jason,
Always.
You want to, since you're not one of our regulars here, usually do you want to give a little shout out to all of your stuff, everything you have going on, and where people can find you?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at Jason Perrone. I do the Quick Slants podcast every Monday here at Game On Wisconsin, and I am on the Thursday edition of the Pack-A-Day podcast with Mark Eckel. So that's coming out tomorrow morning. Double dose of me this back-to-back days. I don't know why these guys did that to the Packers first.
When's your next watch party?
So the watch party, the watch party kind of went by the wayside. That was a very quick and short-lived thing over on the PSF. Yeah, I had to step away from that due to technicality, schedules, life, all that other kind of stuff. But I will still be doing slants and Pack-A-Day every week. So look forward to seeing everybody over in those spots over there too.
I mean, but with everything you do, you're practically doing a watch party throughout the whole week. It's a live plug into Jason Perrone whenever you want it. Yeah. You can follow myself, Todd, Ummer at our socials in the little bubble there. Appreciate everybody again stopping by. For producer Matt hanging out in the background, for Jimmy fucking around, finger popping each other's assholes. Dan, your bartender, saying cheers. Go Pack, go.